All right, welcome fellow instructors at Blue Mountain Community College. Some of you have been asked to do an assessment for one of your courses. So to do that, you'll need to sign into bmcconline.org. That should take you to this screen. And then your username and password and sign in. You'll have to make two decisions to do this. One is what outcome you want to assess. Now, if your department has established outcomes and put them in the outcomes database, then you can choose from that group, and I'll show that in a minute. If you're not sure, or they don't have any, then you can choose from the general college outcomes to connect to one of the assignments in your course. The other thing you have to select is an assignment in your course. So I'm just going to pick my Math 211. I know some classes don't use this at all. Whether you use this or not, your course should appear in there. What you get is just a blank shell. If that's the case, then you want to go into the grade book, which I turned off here. Well, that's not helpful, so I'm going to turn that on. Let's see. Tools. The other thing you'll need is you want to be able to see learning outcomes here on the left. If learning outcomes isn't there, you may be able to turn it on yourself by going to Course Admin, takes you to this page, Enable Disable Tools. And it's very slow, so hang in there. If learning outcomes isn't in here, then you'll have to ask Dan Lang to enable it so you can do this. So I'm going to enable my gradebook. If you don't see your gradebook in the top bar, and you should by default, it's on. I must have turned it off earlier. You want that enabled. And let's see. So I didn't have learning outcomes in here, which meant an administrator had to turn that on for me over here. So if that's not available there, you can't do it in that course until an administrator, Dan Lang in particular, turns it on. All right, so I have my gradebook enabled. I'm going to save changes. Okay, so now I see gradebook at the top. And the reason I'm going here first is I first have to pick something that I want to connect to. And so under Setup Gradebook, if you have no assignments in here, which is possible if you don't use this shell, and I don't in some of my courses, then I would want to go into Add New Gradebook Item, and then I would come, you wouldn't see anything up there, you would just see Add Custom Item, and then choose something from your course, a test that you gave, an assignment that you gave, and give it a name. So, you give something like Chapter 3 exam, or Section 10 writing, or paper number 5, or just give it some kind of name that you're going to remember and then add it in there. If it's an assignment you already have in here and it's in the gradebook, then you have nothing to worry about. That's fine. You have to have an assignment turned on in the gradebook for this to work. So somewhere in here, where's that assignment? Did I forget to check it? I forgot to check it, so I'll go back a step. Chapter 3 exam. Okay, so then I check it off in the list. And again, if this is something you don't use, that'll be the only thing in your list. And we go to next. And there it is, and then you assign it to a group. Now, if you don't use this, the only group there will be home. And then you click next. And again, if this isn't something you use, or if you're making a special assignment that you don't want to have related to other things already in there, then give it 0 points. If it's already an assignment with points, nothing to worry about. And I've got it in there. Okay. So either you decided on an assignment that's already in there, or you just threw something in there with a special name and gave it 0 points. Once we have that, you can go to Learning Outcomes and connect to it. You have to get in Author mode under Learning Outcomes, and we need to go to the Outcomes Manager. In the Outcomes Manager, we need to add a learning statement. And then we need to pick a repository. So that's just a table in the database related to either the whole college or to your area. So for example, if you're in theater arts or science, math, criminal justice, blah, 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 any of these, you just pick the one you want and look for something in there that you can use. If none of the objectives in there seem relevant to what you're doing, then I would recommend going to core competencies for the college. So that's what I'm going to do here. And on the core competencies, I'm just going to hit go, so it'll show me all of them. All right. So the main competencies here are written and oral communication, and there's some subpoints: critical thinking and problem solving, and then the subpoints: community, cultural diversity awareness, information technology literacy, workplace wellness, ethical, and there's another page of stuff you can choose from. Oh, there's only one more thing in that section. So let's go back. So then what you have to do is you have to pick one of these to connect to an assignment. So it may be that you thought you had an assignment you wanted to connect to, and you look at all these and nothing makes sense. So then you have to work backwards. Look at one of these items and then say, oh yeah, I know an assignment that would work with this. And then you can choose that assignment. So there's a little back and forth in connecting an outcome to a particular assignment, test, whatever in your course. So let's see, I think I'm going to go with about written and oral communication, because I like my students to write on certain assignments. Can students communicate ideas using good grammatical conventions? Yeah, so math for elementary school teachers is my course here, and I expect my students to be able to write well, so I'm going to use that one right there. So choose the outcome that you want, and then add to course at the bottom. Now, once I've added it, I should see it here, I need to go and edit. It's that little button right there, little pen and paper. And then I need to choose the content item from my course that I want to connect to. And I'm going to grab the exam 3 that I added in there. And I think all I need to do is assess, but I'm going to put presented to, because I can't remember exactly, ask Dan Lang, or just do what I do. Continue. All right. The weight, I believe, is irrelevant. You can leave that at 1, and we want to continue. And I want to then save changes. And I am done. I picked the learning statement, I connected it to assignments, and I checked off that it's going to be assessed. And I think it's just assessed that we need. All right, once I have that, then I have to have something from the student's work to go by. So either I have some paper tests in front of me, or I have some notes about what the students did, or maybe it's an online assignment that I'm going to say pick 4 problems from that assignment. If they get 4 out of those 4, they get full credit. If they get 2 out of the 4, that's insufficiently. So you'll have to decide that. Different departments have different levels of competency. Like the math department, we have a scale from 0 to 4 for satisfactory performance. 0 and 1 are unsatisfactory, 2 through 4 are satisfactory. With these generic core competencies that the college has for everything we do, it's a 0 or 1. Either the student did it or they didn't. So to assess the student, again, I have to have some work to guide me, and then I have to go to select gradebook view. I had mine under course home, so you have to know which section of your gradebook it's in. And then here I have my chapter 3 exam, and so I can just, let's see, that's not what I want. I have to click on the student's name, and that pops up this cute little window here. And if all goes well, you should see a learning outcomes box on the left-hand side. And then what you do is for each student, you could come to this, the objective name that you chose, or its shorthand name. Its long name is up above here. And then either it's not applicable, maybe the student didn't do that assessment. Otherwise, they either met the competency or they didn't, based on whatever work you have to judge. And so then for each student, if you select it, you save it, and then you move on to the next student. And then you decide whether it's applicable or not, and you keep moving on. And again, you have to have some student work to guide you through this. And you just keep doing that until you're done. And that's it. Oops, I didn't say it quick enough. So continue. Once you've done all your students, and either, strange error, ignore that. Either you have not applicable, you don't have anything to judge that criteria, or they succeeded or they didn't. If you have any questions, call your department chair. They can help guide you through it. If they're not sure, Dan Lang can help you also. Hope this was helpful to you. Have a good day. Good luck. Bye-bye.